Radio Zero.
It's Radio Zero with Rick and Rose, Friday, April 28th, 2023. Amen.
Oh, hold on. I don't have my list.
Did you press record?
Yeah. You can subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts. Go to radiozero.us. We're live streaming on Facebook on the Radio Zero page and Poster Children page. On Twitch at PCJC USA and on the Poster Children YouTube channel. You can patronize us at patreon.com/Radio Zero. Thanks to everybody who's been patronizing us. We appreciate it.
And we've been using the money to buy a meth lab that we're setting up in our basement. So thank you.
Why would you say that?
Actually, because I was thinking about T-shirts, screening T-shirts, and then our Dairy King, I don't know what we call him now, Columbia Boy, said that he liked the idea of a T-shirt lab in the basement because it's kind of like a meth lab, except it's legal.
Yeah.
So that's why I said, but we're not using the money for that either.
Yeah.
We're using the money to sustain this program. So thanks for listening. I'm sorry. Today it's not snowing out, Isn't that crazy? It's the end of April and it's not snowing. So I think that's a win right there. Although we have had snowstorms on April 30th, and I'm sure it's going to happen again because it's been like a cold year.
Sometimes it snows in April.
That's right. All right. Well, so what neither of us have a list, right? We have a list, but it's not a Radio Zero list.
I didn't get together anything. You said there was something you wanted to talk about. You thought we should talk about.
I think it was porn, right?
Oh.
We had this we're talking about ChatGPT, right? So we may as well talk about AI, right?
Yeah.
Let's just
sure.
launch right into it. So, if any of my students use ChatGPT, then I'm going to flunk them, which is absolutely the opposite of what I would say. So ChatGPT is with us. We haven't spoken to you since we haven't spoken about ChatGPT.
I think we did. I think we have a couple of
Did we?
episodes.
Oh, never mind.
Yeah.
Then we've already
I feel
talked
like
about
we
it.
have.
But anyway, I've been I've used it. I use it all the time. And it's real obvious to me how and when I need to use it. It's real obvious to me. I'm not going to ask it to tell me what my future is. I'm not going to ask it to extrapolate. I'm going to ask it to interpolate, okay? And I even said to somebody, we're really lucky that we have computer science backgrounds, aren't we?
Yeah,
Do you ever feel it
was a good idea.
Good choice,
Yeah.
Because I took an AI class back in the 80s. So back then we were like, oh, is it going to be? Are we going to have lots of data, or are we going to be doing equations like brain equations and stuff? What's it going to be? Pixels or algorithms? Pixels or what? How do you? Equations. What's it going to be? And so it turns out it's going to be pixels. But So I know how to use it, and other people don't, I guess. But our students, will benefit for if our students will know how to use it. I think, I don't know, maybe not. Maybe they'll ask it to write papers and stuff. But so I use it when I have all the ideas that I need to do, something's already been written and I have to rewrite it. I have to write it again. I have to, write I don't know, something that somebody else in the world has already done, something that somebody's already written, somebody's already made a class plan for for a taekwondo class for first year beginners, right? Somebody's already done that. So I could ask it that, or somebody's already made like a beginning math class that just introduces algebra to you. So you could ask it for like, what would be lessons that you do, or what would be learning experiences or something.
It sounds like you don't understand ChatGPT either.
My head hurts really bad. I have like a blinding headache today. So I can't think straight. But what did I? So yeah. So when I there's some kind of snail game where you say you accept, you get offered immortality or you get offered $1 million, or I've heard it two different ways, and you accept. If you accept the thing, then you get it, but then the snail follows you for the rest of your life and kills you, or when it catches up to you, you'll die. Which to me is not immortality. So the $1 million thing seems more, or money forever or something. I don't know. I've heard it a whole bunch of different ways. It's some sort of meme game thing, right? So my students are making this. They're recreating this because we have geographically aware programming methods now. So we have, we're using P5JS, we're using JavaScript, and we're using the geolocation library. It's really nice, and we've got a bunch of smatterings of code that we've written over the years that are hand-me-downs from other students. But this one doesn't exist. So what they want to do is they want to have the person's latitude and longitude, and then they want to just in a 500-meter radius they want to spawn a snail, which just means choosing along a 500-meter radius a latitude and longitude, right? Just choosing that and then going and then they can do that, I think. But excuse me, then they want to triangulate on the person's whereabouts and have the snail move like an inch toward them all the time, right? So they were, like looking for algorithms because I'm sure somebody's made a point that triangulates towards another point before. I've seen it. Maybe not with latitude and longitude points and stuff like that, but I've seen it. Even just talking about it with my mouth is making me know how to do it. But I was like, well, we looked for it for a little while, and then I was like, well, why don't you just ask ChatGPT how to do it? And they were like, she said, and then somebody mumbled something about, a professor finally lets us use ChatGPT or something like that. And I was like, what? What did you say? And then they said, well, our other professors don't let us use that. And I'm like, first, that angers me because, first of all, if you tell your students you can't use that, some of them will listen to you, the rest of them won't, and then the ones that are good and listen to you are going to be at a disadvantage. So also it exists, so people are going to use it, and it's the future. So anyway, what did I say? I was like, well, you can use it, and then some other students said, yeah, as long as it doesn't take our jobs away. And I'm like, well, it's totally going to take your jobs away. What's like, that's the bad part of it. You don't get to just, bask in the glory of cheating and then have and with there's, you know what I mean? There's always a good part and a bad part to technology. You don't get anything for free. So then they were like, oh no, what do we do? And I'm like, well, that's why you need to use ChatGPT. You need to understand how it works. So you need to, so you can figure out what jobs they're going to be in the future.
So the snail meme is from 2014, but then it got it had a resurgence on TikTok, but that was in 2021. So
TikTok's the culprit.
Yeah, but it's been almost 2 years now, or a year and a half of snail meme resurgence.
I guess.
Snail assassin.
I may not be clicked on the right stuff. I may not be. I think I'm on the wrong page again for seeing people's comments, because I don't see any comments at all. I see nobody's.
Yeah, maybe I didn't set it up. Maybe it's not working.
No, this just happens all the time. Like I didn't go to the right place or something. Let me see. Yeah, see, I'm looking at the picture of it or something.
Yeah, I'm worried.
Oh yeah, there's all. Sorry, everybody.
Try to find it on the computer I'm streaming from would be a bad idea, I think.
Okay, so Jeremy says your list: 1, ChatGPT; 2, Rick's sleeping habits, and 3, new record. Okay, so yeah, we're talking about. Thank you, Jeremy. Wait a minute. Why don't we just go on ChatGPT and ask it what we should talk about? I'm going to do that next.
We
as
actually
soon as I
did
can
that
figure
too
out.
at some point, or no?
No, I
had
don't
it
think we did
describe
that.
describe the show.
Oh yeah.
This was months ago. We did that.
Yeah. All right, I'm going to click on the poster children thing, and then I'll be able to see people's comments. I'm so sorry. Yeah, see, sorry. Okay. All right. Oh, even wow, Sherry's listening. There's a Sherry Zeck here. That's so cool. She said it snowed last Saturday for a bit. Yeah, we know. And then comment check on the PC page. Yeah. All right, let me go on ChatGPT here too. Chat OpenAI. What should we talk about? I don't know what to write.
The thing you were talking about was not Chat GPT. As a student was talking today about deep fake porn, but people who do that with people they know. So it's similar to, what is it called when you have like you share publicly, nude photos of an ex or something like that. But this is the next step where they make pornographic videos with, former boyfriends or girlfriends or people they work with. Some YouTuber apparently was caught on a YouTube live stream. He changed tabs on his computer, and then people saw that he had paid to have a bunch of porn generated with his fellow YouTubers in his group. With their faces.
That's right. So you folks are
and then the question was like I want to explore the ethics of this, and I I didn't say this out loud, but we were talking about it in the car. I was like, there's not much to explore about the ethics of that. If we're talking
Rick
ethics,
seems to think they're wrong.
Yeah,
It's
that's wrong. I think that's wrong. I don't think there's a lot of time needs to be spent on wondering whether or not that's ethical. It seems unethical to me.
You're listening to Radio Zero here on Friday, April 28th, 4:13 p.m., and we're talking about porn. Give us a call. If you, I draw the line at ChatGPT poster children songs. So it says April.
Yeah, you did that months ago too.
Oh yeah, I asked it to write a poster children song, and it
we
did.
had a whole we talked about that in an episode.
We're anti-government, whatever. But so this upset me a little bit. Not the porn thing, and I heard the radio talking about one of the most, one of the biggest uses of these AIs is to or the picture AIs, like the illustrative AIs, is to put put people's face, like put stars' faces that on porn movies. Like that's what they use it for, like the big deep fakes thing. It was probably about deep fakes. Sorry, I can't remember anything. But
I mean, all that this AI technology exposes is our true nature, right?
Yeah.
And when people were saying, "Oh, this is
revenge porn." Andy.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
And then we talked about this a couple weeks ago, where it's like they were trying to did a image query for rich couple eating breakfast on a boat, and every image was of white people, right? And it's like, this Chat GPT program is racist, and it's like, no, our culture is. It's all.
Well,
it's
algorithms.
Doing,
I went
the
through.
The algorithm is consuming our culture and throwing it back at us and saying, "Hey, here's what you are."
And there are a lot of fascinating books on this subject too that you can listen to on whatever that's called that I listen to books, because I went through a period where I was listening to those.
And
algorithms.
soon there will be algorithmically generated books on this subject.
Ooh, and algorithm generated algorithms. Okay, so what got me was there was another grad student who interviewed all of us about, what do you think about art and ChatGPT? Is it bad, or whatever the other art, and all of us except one of us, I think, were just like, well, it's the
God,
future.
I didn't get to go see the exhibit. That was
Is it
the
down
thing.
now?
It was. I think today was the last day.
Oh no. Maybe we need to pause this. No.
It's too late.
Oh crap! It ended at 4.
4, yeah.
Shoot. Well, maybe
That
we'll
was
find out
the
when they're
thing that
tearing
I
it down and we
needed
can
to
go
do.
look. Yeah. Oh crap. Well, anyway, so there's an amazing BFA graphic design exhibition here at Illinois State University. It's stunning, absolutely stunning, and it's all. I was like, oh, it's all design thinking, empathetic stuff. It's not design thinking, but it's all like, solving problems. And I just love that the graphic design program here, that's what they're teaching, is like how to solve problems and how to have empathy for people. It's wonderful. And I would expect nothing less of our colleagues there, because I know them, and that's what they care about. They're making their students care about people. It's wonderful.
Human-centered design.
Thank you. Human-centered design. It's wonderful. But so one of the projects, we were all interviewed, and I'm of the opinion, like, well, it's the future. It's the same as people trading your music on the internet, But so the big sticky point is that artists, the way that artists draw, their style can be eaten up, can be sucked in by this algorithm, and then you can output, you can just ask it to, draw the queen in the style of what's his name, the Obey guy.
Obviously, yeah, it might be easier.
I can't it might be easier.
Use Shepherd Ferry as an example of
that's what I did.
Original artist. Right?
Yeah, right.
Oh,
that was my joke. That was my joke.
That's a layered joke. That's good.
Yes,
that's funny.
But I did. Well, I was trying to poster childrenize or Shepherd Ferry-ize a poster children poster, for a little while, because I was trying to figure out what should be our next T-shirt, and I'm really bored of.
Why don't you ask ChatGPT?
I did, and it didn't work. It's not that good. It wasn't even ChatGPT. It was. I was going through Dolly or something like that. Dolly. It kind of rounded the eyeballs a little bit on the end. But then I started Googling Shepherd Ferry, and that's when I found the cows poster. There's a cows / poster children Shepherd fucking Ferry poster out there. And I feel like we had one. I feel like we should go look through the archives of our posters,
because if people are selling them for $1,200,
yeah, really, I know Andy Dolly. But anyway, I was like, look, it's just inevitable that, and there's nothing you can do about it. If you're going to be a famous artist now, there's going to be an AI that can replicate you. Just the same as if you're a famous musician, there's going to be an AI that can replicate you. I think
so.
It's the same.
That's the advantage to being an obscure musician is that
nobody's gonna. But okay, so
there's not going to be a poster children channel on Spotify.
I don't know if you guys knew this, but before,
randomly or an algorithmically generated poster children
and now there is. So never mind. but I mean, I just it's just the next step in people being able to just copy your music anyway. Like, oh, you have to buy it on Spotify now, and we'll get 0.1 cent. But you don't have to. You can just go to YouTube and listen to music, to anybody's music.
So
everything's free.
What's the lesson from this? So what's happened in the music industry, right, is it's gone back to live performance and vinyl, right? So that's all that's going to happen in these other fields,
We're
right?
going to go back to
people are
painting?
they're going to value
A person, see the experience of watching somebody paint.
Yeah. So Bob Ross is back already.
Yeah,
right?
that's true. That's true. Okay, but what caught
what's
me?
What's interesting though is that was the thing is he never sold those paintings, right? So I can't remember what the resolution of that is now. If the estate is now, they're all in storage.
What caught me about all this was I feel very self-righteous about. And Gen X about the fact that I'm sorry, you lose if you're an artist. There's not going to be any way, and I know there's a way of scrambling the pixels in your painting that you made so that the AI can't pull it out, but it's impossible. Somebody will just screenshot it and repixelate it and go through it, then they're still going to eat up the way your method of painting or whatever. It's over. And I was like, and that's just progress. But then when the student was talking about putting people's heads on porn, I was like, well, that's obviously wrong. And then I started thinking, that's the opposite of what I'm saying about stealing somebody's style.
I saw
you kind of look like thinking a little bit when I brought that up.
Yeah, I thought a little bit about it, but I think so.
Let's argue it.
You don't have to argue it. It's like saying it's the same thing. And no, it's like all this stuff. There are gray areas. Like the New York Times just had a whole thing about copyright again and like the blurred lines thing, and it's like listening back to the blurred lines, instead of compared to the Marvin Gaye song, and it's like, trying to figure out, what's the difference between just ripping off the sound of something in a groove, right, and then actually just stealing
let me ask you
the melody or stealing the song and the chord progression. Because Ed Sheeran, right, has got a song, and then now there's a copyright issue and so it's trying to figure out, is it just that he's playing a bunch of generic, basically going through and playing, generic kind of chord changes that are earmarks of like R&B and soul, right? Which is what he does, right? And singing these melodies, and then it's like it's very similar to another song, right? Mm-hmm. A 60s R&B song, and it's like, did he actually steal that song, or is he just copying the whole kind of vibe and aesthetic? And then it's like, oh, it kind of sounds the same because basically that's what his algorithm is, right? Is to rip off, or he's inspired by that era of music, and so he's just doing his best version of that possible. And so it's just,
Here's my question to you.
That's a gray area, I think.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, here's another gray area. Okay. Is my artistic style, let's say I have a very significant artistic style, is that mine? Is that something that I made? Like, let's say I'm Shepard Fairey. Let's just say for the sake of the argument. Let's say I'm Andy Warhol. Let's say I'm...
What was it? Like the banana. Somebody finally found out where the banana on the cover of The Velvet Underground and Nico came from.
Where?
It's like an ashtray, like somebody... like a promotional ashtray from some company in the 60s. So he lifted, that image of that banana. He didn't take a photo of the banana. Like my assumption was, okay, this is a situation where he took a photo of a banana and made that. But it was like not even that.
He lifted it. I would hope so. I would hope so. Okay.
And it makes perfect sense that he'd do that.
Let's say I'm Renoir. Let's say I'm Dubuffet, okay?
So here's the thing. He's dead. Right?
Okay, all right.
Andy Warhol's dead. Keith Haring's dead.
It.
All these people are dead.
Who's not dead?
Stealing their so they are financial instruments. Andy Warhol is a financial instrument. He's not a person. He's not a style anymore. He is a profitable sort of
Shepard
a product.
Fairey. Let's say I'm Shepard Fairey.
Yeah.
Let's just say for the sake of the argument that I'm Shepard.
Shepard Fairey is a financial instrument. Shepard Fairey is not an artist or a style.
Can we pretend that I'm an artist, Shepard Fairey, just for the sake of the argument, please? Okay, so I'm an artist. The AI steals my artwork and does other things with it. That's not fair, right? Or is that fair? It's fair.
It's like the Amazon thing, right? So Peak Design, which is a company that designs nice like photo gear, like bags for photo gear and everything like that, and they were selling on Amazon. And so what Amazon does is if they see a product that starts selling, they make an Amazon original.
Exactly.
Do they call them Amazon? What do they call? Not Amazon originals. I can't remember what their product is called. But they'll at some point, if they see a product selling a third party. Well, eBags. eBags is a little different, although eBags now...
But Amazon, I think you call it Amazon Samsonite Originals or something. Okay, you're right, yes.
And so, and I feel like that's wrong, but I remember Peak Design getting an email from them, and they were like, okay, either we could go into a lengthy lawsuit about this, because they basically just stole our design, or we can write a big, huge, email and post on our site and talk about how Amazon does this and how it's wrong and why our products are better and why we're going to continue to make good designs because we're originators. We're not, we're not copiers. We're not, and so it's a tension that's always happened. The problem is yeah, these things are more efficient. But, I just always go back to the fact that artists are always, on the bottom of the food chain.
Oh, that's
right?
true. Okay.
They're always
Right.
always getting
Right.
the short shrift.
All right. I want to try to finish this thought.
Okay.
So there's an artist here. I've got my right hand up. There's an artist, and then there's a mapping of that art onto something completely different by an algorithm. Okay, and that's just what happens. So artist is still over here at my right hand producing artwork, but somewhere else, unbeknownst to to artist A, somebody's cranking out this other person's artwork in the same vein as artist A. Okay, and that just happens. Now, map that onto porn. Okay, so there's porn somewhere, and then there's people's faces here. There's a nice face of your friend or some Hollywood star, and then that gets mapped onto some other thing. And so how is that hurting? And I don't agree with this, but how is that hurting the original person? It's obviously hurting the person whose face it is, right?
So I guess the difference is, first off, already you made a mistake because you said your friend or a Hollywood star.
Okay, help me.
So Brad Pitt is a financial instrument, right?
Okay.
Your next door neighbor.
What if it's Brad Pitt?
Is all you could? Yeah, I guess you could. I mean, if you want to go total abstract to this, it's like all in this hyper capitalist society, we're just.
Everybody's worth something to somebody.
Yes, we're just a commodity. And
Okay.
so the question is how do you? And so then ownership. Yeah, the argument would be, is that ownership of your identity. It's like that's a question of copyright and ownership, right? So copyright your DNA, right? Like where does the line end? And so I would say, it's just the same idea as pretending to be someone else, right? So if I walk into a grocery store and I put down a credit card that's not mine and I've stolen someone's identity, I think that's stealing identity. I think that's identity theft. Right? I think it's different. Now, you could say it's identity theft if you're stealing an artist's style and vision. That's true too. You could. That's a pretty good legal argument. But the argument always is that it impacts their financial security or something. Like that, right?
Okay, all right. Yeah, you did
So
it.
the commodification.
You I knew you would solve it, and you should be a lawyer. You should. It's a great. That's what it is. It's stealing a person's identity. Whether or not you're stealing their face and putting it on a porn video, you're stealing their identity, or you're stealing their work, their how do you say that? I've heard it oeuvre.
I don't know.
Heard it two ways. Right?
Yeah, and I think so maybe the problem is it. I mean, because the thing is I guess, people could fantasize about their coworkers, right? And you can't regulate that. But once it becomes a commodity or it becomes transferable, distributable, so like I go back to thinking about that story I heard about, what is it, Cornell, the Cornell boxes guy, right? Joseph Cornell. When he did that edited film. I can't remember the name of the film that he edited in the 30s. He was like like took a Hollywood film and recut it to create a different narrative, which sounds that's pretty cool. But at the time it was radical, and he showed this film. I believe in New York, and Salvador Dali was there and toppled the projector over and said, "Stop stealing my dreams," And it is that idea is like. I guess when you have a world where the inner life can be projected and captured and distributed and traded and sold, bought and sold, that's creepy. But that's not what's happening here. It's that people are, it's just creepy. It's not, it's just creepy. and wrong.
It's really weird. Like I'm not into porn. I'm not a person who would want to. I'm not a big sexual person anyway, right? But like I'm fascinated with thinking about this because other people are, people are like, oh, you can't even say penis in front of your kids. They're gonna turn gay. And so I'm like a pretty basic scientific person, but like I enjoy thinking about like these people who are like so like freaked out about sex and that they're like they've got to overcompensate and be into porn or something like that. They have to take it into the
well, that to me, that's starting. So that's the thing is like, oh, if someone like falls in love with an AI or a robot, I mean, I understand. To me, that's where it gets kind of judgmental. Where it's like, okay, like that to me is a different argument, right? If you're saying, oh, is it okay to generate deep fakes of your friends and family in pornographic situations? No, that's not okay. But is it okay to not have normal human, what's considered normal human interaction, like, oh, so like you fall in love with an AI or you decide to marry the Eiffel Tower, right? What
if you fall in love with a sex toy?
Yeah, exactly. All those kind of questions. It's like where like it feels weird, but it also feels like, well, is anyone being harmed in this situation? Right.
That's
and
right.
That to me is what it comes down to. It's just kind of like there's the judgy part, which is like that upsets me because it doesn't feel like it's not something I've thought of, or it's not something I would do, and therefore I have a reaction to it, which is natural. That's a natural human reaction. Then the question is but where the problem always comes in is what you do with that reaction. Do you try to outlaw it? Or do you try to understand? Do you try to make sure, oh, is anyone being harmed? Now I'm realizing, oh, this all breaks down because that's the arguments we're having now with these crazy moralistic crusaders, which is that
exactly.
These trans people are harming our children.
Exactly.
They're harming our, and so that's why it always goes to that idea of harm, is because obviously I guess that is the core of morals or ethics, right? At least should be. Is like, does it cause harm? And so now it helps me realize how we can't, it's like, because a lot of times my response to these things is like, regardless of whether or not you accept this, is it really truly hurting anyone? What is the harm in this? And I realize that maybe I'm a little more open-minded, I guess. And other people are like, yeah, it's harmful.
Yeah. But your first comment was that if it's the idea of harming the institution of a person, like taking their money away. That's more clear cut. But this, is am I being degraded if somebody's got my face on a porno? Like, ooh, would somebody put my face on a porno thing?
I mean,
that'd be kind of cool.
That just instinctively feels wrong. It feels wrong.
I'd have two boobs.
It feels wrong. It
I'd like to
instinctively
see it.
feels wrong.
Yeah. Yes, it instinctively feels wrong. But who's it hurting? Who's it hurting? Quote.
I think it is hurting because,
all right, well, then
it's taking
if you
your identity
and
changing it and taking it over. And so we talked about this a while ago, and we always talk about this. It's like being famous. That's the same thing, right? It's like, and so that's the thing. It's like famous people have this problem.
Yeah, it's true.
Right?
Yeah,
They've always had
yeah.
some variant of this problem where it's like who they are gets totally
co-opted and messed up. Yeah.
And everybody has that problem in some small scale, but now because of technology, you could be struggling with this problem where it's like you're a college professor and then a video comes out of you and then it's humiliating. It's not even you. And then you say, it's not me. And half the people, it's kind of like, if somebody says to you,
stop talking now.
Yeah, see? Yeah, no, exactly.
That's scary.
It's like if somebody walks in a room and says to you, hey, hey, Rick, have you shit your pants again? And it's like, and I'm like, what? And everybody in that room is going to think, even if it's like a joke or I never shat my pants in a public place. I can't remember having done that. since I've been over the age of 3 or whatever. But it's like that's going to be in everybody's mind in that room.
And that was
from
the
now
thing that
on,
Donald
right?
Trump used to do, right? He'd be like, I'm not going to say that this happened, but
exactly.
yeah.
And,
All right,
and so this is a more sort of definitive version of that, where it's like people can you're I don't know. And so that gets me back to what we keep talking about is, we're just going to flip back to face-to-face encounters and real-world encounters and art that's done by the human hand or music that's performed.
Does that mean VR will be gone again?
Well, it just means
no,
that you can't trust it.
right, you
It's
can't
like,
trust-
why would you
can't
trust
the news.
anything you see through a screen?
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Yeah,
Anything that you
yeah.
aren't seeing in the present.
Call into question.
And so that's kind of exciting, but it's also a little scary because a move back to physicality, right? Physical interaction also means
more
what does that mean?
COVID.
Yeah, well, and what? More people, more war, maybe, right? Physical,
Yeah.
it's like thinking, maybe if we move into this digital realm and we're going to have this utopia where, it's no longer about the physical world and everything like that. And it's like, no.
You're
All that's
listening-
happening is that we the only thing that's real is if, like what if you have to, like now every time you, in the future, when you walk up to a person, you have to slap them in the face just to know that they're real, right? It's just
there
like,
could be
and they
haptic
have
for
to
that.
slap you
Yeah,
so you can
yeah.
feel that
That's cool.
they're a real person.
I like that a lot.
Yeah,
You're
it's just
listening
crazy.
to Radio Zero on a Friday, April 28th, and we're talking about porn here.
Come on, stop saying that. I don't like that.
So we've got there have been a lot of comments here. And so I'm
Sure
going to
there
read
have.
the ones that Andy reminds us it's Amazon Basics.
Yes, thank you.
I'm going to read the ones that are just that are not thought provoking just yet. Okay, let's see here. I think all right, and then I'll start reading. Okay, so here's one. Larry says, here's something I always wondered. Do cover bands have to pay real bands residuals? After all, cover bands are making money off the real band's music. And that is paid by where they perform, ASCAP and BMI royalty, or, when...
If you go to a club and
Yeah.
you see an ASCAP or BMI sticker in the window, that means that the regional ASCAP or BMI rep has visited that place.
And that club is paying $100, $800, a certain amount of money a month to ASCAP and BMI.
And that covers the jukebox, right? Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So the jukebox company does not pay that, right? It's but
I
the
can't remember what
DJ,
that-
all that kind of stuff.
Not
There's
the
usually
radio,
kind
but
of
not-
a blanket.
Yeah.
And so there have been situations where clubs, you'll hear about this. It's like, we're a new club and everything like that, and then the ASCAP guy shows up, and then it's like they're telling us
Bankrupts
we have
the
to pay $800 a month to play music in our club, and it's like, yeah, that's why. It's because you're playing music and you're making money, and they're not going to come and collect, 1 penny off of every beer. They make an estimate of your size of your club. I think I don't actually know the details of what they do, but yeah, that's
I've even seen movies about this, like or YouTube videos about this. And then so ASCAP and BMI are collecting money all the time. Then they have a secret formula that they break down for all of their artists, and then they decide how much royalties to pay them. It's got nothing to do with.
And so what I've heard is ASCAP's a little, well, in not the old days, in the mid days, like back maybe 20 or 30 years ago, ASCAP was a little better for like larger musicians. BMI was better for smaller musicians. In fact, I think that's why BMI started. It was an alternative to ASCAP. And so BMI's distribution of that huge chunk of money they get coming in from clubs, arenas, radio, all that stuff.
Not radio.
You still get BMI.
Not
Sure.
terrestrial radio.
Really? Not
Yeah.
terrestrial radio.
Radio, you don't get anything for.
The music
I'm gonna
business
teach you
professor
this.
needs to look at that
I
chapter
I
again.
think I'm right, but
Because BMI was jukeboxes and there's something with radio. I feel like BMI collects, Yeah, I think BMI does the radio too. Who collects the radio? Though?
I believe it does. I don't think
The
radio.
publisher?
You don't get
No, the
you don't get any money from being played on the radio. Nobody gets money from being played on the radio. Oh wait, I better reread this. I haven't taught music business.
Regardless.
Yeah, and regardless, the tribute
because
band.
ASCAP and BMI would do. Yeah, that was the whole thing. Is they do radio. They do sampling like Nielsen kind
Oh
of
my
like
God,
stuff.
I'm gonna have to look that up
to do the calculations. To chop
it's
stuff up.
It's the other type. These are songwriting royalties, not these are the songwriting and publishing royalties. These are not the performance royalties.
No,
Okay,
Well, wait.
no. Yeah, these are performance royalties. These are performance royalties, but these are not these are not. What is it called?
Let's get Donald Pressman on here.
The actual the thing that is named after the rolls of paper that were in the mechanical royalties. We're not talking. Yeah, they don't pay mechanical royalties. Okay, yeah. Tribute bands do, as far as I know, would not have to pay the band that they're covering.
They don't.
Yeah.
Not when they're performing, but the venue
where they perform has to, and
should be
right. And if they put out a CD of covers,
that's the Harry Fox
different.
agency,
right? That's different. So you guys can look this up on the internet.
Harry Fox,
yes, yeah.
HARRY.
And there are all kinds of ways. So if you're gonna make a record full of poster children songs, you can go on. There are a bunch of different front ends for the Harry Fox agency.
Yeah, now and through CD Baby, all the distributors are able to do that.
Yeah.
Now, yeah. So, it's a little easier to do to pay artists for.
So that takes care of that. So on the Radio Zero here, back to porn, because that's what we're discussing today on Radio Zero. Andy Lester asks, is an AI cloning your art different than a person doing it? And I asked the same thing, and a friend of ours said, yes, it's different when the AI does it.
But I
don't believe that. I think it's the same.
Why would you use an AI to clone this? That's what somebody said today is apparently now you can generate, there's an AI that'll generate a UI, a UI UX portfolio, and they said, but they already always look the same to me already.
Yeah.
It was super funny because it was like, why bother using an AI because everybody makes their portfolios look exactly the same already. And so that's you don't use an AI to clone something. You use an AI to kind of make something that is in the spirit of, right? What does that say on those songs? Like you'd get like stock music, in the vein of Red Hot Chili Peppers. This song is called Funky Laptop.
So if you're telling me that if a person copies artwork or an artwork style, that's okay, but an AI, that's not okay. What? Because an AI is a machine? Guess what? Somebody programmed the AI, so that's another person's artwork also. You're going to say that sampling is bad?
Well, it's also using the data set. So what's the data set? And so the data set is so if you say make me something in the spirit in the spirit of Andy Warhol, and then they do that, which would be great, right? And Andy Warhol would love that, right?
Yeah. But other
I would love to hear what Andy Warhol wouldn't say about this.
Well, you could probably ask ChatGPT.
I'm trying to remember if they were talking about Andy Warhol.
Andy saying
who were they talking about? Was it about the difference between Dali and? Yeah, so it was just that Andy Warhol didn't talk. That's why he got away with everything. So he never said anything.
Yeah, maybe. Andy Lester says, "What if it's just a drawing and not a deep fake?" And again,
so that's the thing is this wasn't as much about AI as was about deepfakes, which I guess uses the same similar technologies, I guess. But it's
what if it's a drawing and not a deepfake, like a person drew it?
Yeah. And so that's and I'm sure there are plenty of legal cases about that. There's the Mickey Mouse case, right? That was
right. Yeah.
Right, drawing or. Like the Underground Comics case, right, where there were pornographic
pictures
Mickey
of
Mouse,
Mickey,
Minnie Mouse, and stuff like that. Yeah, that was already that already went through the courts, but that's not a person, I guess. That's That's again a financial instrument.
Institution. Andy Lester says, whenever I hear BMI, I hear it in Leiden's voice. EMI.
Should
And
look up.
we got a
They're
little.
probably what? Do you think they were CSAC?
No, CSAC turned into Song Crunch or something, whatever it's called.
No,
So
no.
Conan-
CSAC is the
European one. Yeah, I
version
know.
of BMI.
Oh, that's
and
yeah.
You're thinking of Sound
Sound
Exchange.
Sound Exchange. Okay, we got here some Conan. He just wrote slightly easier. It's easier. I'm assuming, Conan, you're saying that it's easier for an AI to copy something than a person. I don't know. Song replacement is a whole industry, Conan says. Our child is on here too. Conan says just enough to avoid litigation. And Graham sends a know your meme, which I'll have
Is
to
that
click
about
on.
the snail?
No.
where's
I
the-
have to
See,
allow ads.
When I taught your music business class, I knew where is it on the BMI site to look up the song royalty information, right?
Andy Warhol would have loved. Andy Warhol would have loved AI art. R.I.P. Andy Warhol. Your lazy ass would have used AI to make everything. Yeah. Thanks, Graham. Okay.
Licensing frequently. God, where is the? All right. I just want to know what performance rights organization controls the Sex Pistols catalog.
They're on Warner Brothers, right? You want to know if they're on ASCAP or BMI?
Yeah.
BMI. Oh, I
Just
get
look
it.
up ASCAP or BMI.
Yeah.
Okay, it looks like it looks like they were ASCAP.
We got about 10 minutes left here. We're talking about porn and
Arista Music too, so their publishing was
Arista.
probably Arista Music, huh?
talking about
Interesting.
porn and AI here on Radio Zero. We got anything else? Should we move on?
So Pretty Vacant was definitely ASCAP. I'm looking up which would be the best song to EMI, right? So let's
Look
see.
up EMI. He's looking up. If we played it, where would the money come from for us?
Yeah, it looks like Arista has the publishing, but Arista's not. Who's that now? Ugh.
I gave a talk yesterday on my book, and I was so freaked out the whole time. I was just like, blah, 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 just spewing out like 60 minutes of talk. And I had no idea what to say. And the thing that went bad was like I was telling some of the stories that are in the book. Like I was telling the Prong story, Prong and Smithereens, like playing between Prong and Smithereens. And I think I can tell that. I've told that story in front of people before, and I can do that really well. But I was like, I better read what I wrote so I don't mess it up. And I don't know if I wanted to ask you if like I should not read that. Like if I ever do, if I ever talk in front of people again, should I just tell that story instead of reading it?
I don't know.
Because
I mean, why wouldn't you tell it?
Why would I read it instead?
No. What? Oh, you mean
Should
read
I
it,
read it word
it
for
instead
word
of telling it?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I don't know. You might if you've written it well, then I would read it.
I wrote it well, but I think I tell it better. Like, because it is weird. Because as I was like stumbling over some of the sentences, and I say something like Rick lobbed his beloved guitar over the riot police's head, and then I remember having an argument with the editor. And she was like, riot police apostrophe, and I was like, no, I want the riot police to be one thing.
So it looks like John Lydon got a BMI award, so maybe his stuff is on
Christian
BMI.
DeFrancesco says, did you have to do anything?
Can you talk about something interesting again?
Did you have to do anything /pay/get permission to use the songs on the offensive?
Yeah, I believe so. The way it worked in the physical media world, I believe, is with Harry Fox was you'd have to pay, was it 8 cents
you could even
copy?
Yeah, well, it would depend on how many you were pressing up. So
Yes.
if you're pressing up, they would ask you even, they'd be like, are you pressing up under 100? Yes. Well, then it's some amount of money. And when you cover a song, it is the statutory rate. So it was like 9.1 cents per song. and you can cover
but you
any
pay
song
for the number of copies. Now, that
Right.
was what was weird is with streaming, I'm not really sure how it works, but yeah, so when I put On the Offensive up on the streamers, I had to fill out all that stuff, but I don't know how
That's
the money
all.
gets, how much money gets shoveled off
Yeah,
of the
yeah.
shoveled. That indicates that there's a lot of money. How much money
Shoveled with a Coke
the
spoon.
tweezer? I don't know how much the tweezer takes off of per stream for those songs and goes to the publishing.
That was all like those are all that was all negotiated, when all this started too. But
Yeah.
but anyway, yeah, the statutory rate it's 9.1 or it was when I taught this last 9.1 cents per song. So if you covered 10 songs on a CD, then it would be 91 cents that you would have to pay for that CD. And if you sold 1,000 of them, then it would be 91 cents
And
times
it's not
1,000.
if you sold 1,000. It's if
you
you pressed
pressed
up
1,000,
1,000.
yeah.
So it's how many you made, and you pay that in advance. You're supposed to pay that. You can't.
Yeah.
And so that's what happened when Lotus Pool repressed or did the pressing of Daisy Chain Reaction. They had to pay Warner Brothers to license it. They had to pay Warner Brothers all the money that they would get, their cut. So basically, Warner Brothers charged the pressing cost plus whatever their
Mechanical
cut would be
royalties.
from the record, each record sold in advance. So then they control the pressing, even though they're not putting it out. And then you pay them money on top of the pressing costs, which would be how much they would get their cut of the money if all the records sell. So they basically don't have to collect the money
Andy
as
Lester
it comes in.
says, bring in Rick Sims to talk about cover royalties.
Yeah,
Why would I do that?
because what's their names?
Outnumbered? Or,
No.
not the outnumbered. I'm sorry. I love you, outnumbered. I love you. I wrote about you in my book, not the outnumbered. The
Outfield?
out
No,
out
no.
something, outhouse, out.
I was talking about this because this actually relates to this, so we'll talk about them.
Yeah.
The
Band with a really good bass sound.
Yeah. Keep them separated. What's the name of that band? There's a delay, so we can't even wait. Anyways, the Killboy Powerhead was on that hit record, Offspring. The Offspring. Got it
Offspring.
finally out of my
Okay.
head. And so yeah, I believe Rick got a substantial amount of money because.
Hope he did.
So this is the thing: is that if you have that was what was great about the album era. So that Offspring album sells millions of copies, and it has a Digits cover on it. They don't chop up. They don't say, well, keep them separated, as a single, right? So whatever it's sold as a single, its radio play, all that airplay would be separate. But all of the album sales, basically, if there were 10 songs on that album, that meant that the songwriting royalties, Rick would have gotten a tenth of all those album sales. So I believe
Would have
he
gotten
did.
9.1 cents. I think.
No. That's
Oh, mechanical.
That's
That's songwriting.
mechanical royalty.
No, not, oh, nine.
Yeah,
oh,
no.
mechanicals. Okay,
No.
yeah, he got.
So,
he
yeah,
got
would have
the
gotten-
songwriting royalties too. Yeah.
and that's all in. So if you have a major label contract, all of that. If you somebody else's song, there's all sorts of language in those giant contracts about if the songs aren't yours, what they pay.
Yeah.
It's all in there. But yeah. But what was interesting is the lead singer, not Mr. Noodles. What's the lead singer's name?
Of the Offspring.
Of the Offspring wrote all those songs, and he had songwriting credit. I think it was the guitar player and the bass player in the band and the drummer never had songwriting credit on any of those songs. Offspring, I didn't know this, but they sold off their catalog a while ago in the big fire sale, right? Everybody's buying music now, and they sold it off, and each member of the band got a chunk of cash from that sale, the sales of their catalog. But the lead singer, who wrote all the songs, got more, right? He got like half of the chunk. He got like $5 million, and everybody else got $1 million each. Now, the drummer at the time just was recently suing, and he wanted more money. He wanted money from the songwriting royalties. And the thing was is that both the guitar player and the bass player for the band were like, no, the singer wrote all the songs. We've never asked for publishing from that before, or songwriting. This was all agreed on, 25 years ago. And the judge was just like, and the drummer, had quit and probably burned through whatever money he got from the fire sale, right? Not the fire sale, the sale.
Right.
And wanted songwriting. And the guy was like, okay, so if there are two other guys who were in the room or in the band at the time and they're not suing for songwriting and publishing credit, and there's never been a lawsuit about that, and everybody else who was in the band says, no, this guy wrote all the songs, and we all agreed he owns the songs, he owns the publishing, and
now
the judge threw it out of court.
Okay, here's Mr. Noodles for comment. Conan wrote that. That's where I was laughing. Larry's happy. It has been educated. That's what we do here, Larry. We're college professors. I don't know if you know.
And so we've talked about, and so how does it work with our band? The way we did it with our band, we didn't quite do it so there's the REM method. We heard about REM. U2, I think, does the same thing.
What was the REM method?
REM method is you divided, everything got divided up equally because Peter Buck knew. And I remember this. I read interviews 30 years ago, and it was like, oh, bands break up because of songwriting royalties. Whoever owns, whoever's the songwriter, winds up making all the money, and then everybody gets mad and they break up. And that same thing with U2. Like, for instance, I guess from what I've heard, Don't Go Back to Rockville, Bill Berry wrote that song. Like, if it was like done in the traditional way, Bill Berry, the drummer of REM, would have full songwriting credit on Don't Go Back to Rockville. He just came in with the song, lyrics, and everything.
REM later,
right?
Yeah.
But because of the way they set up the band, and in fact, I think it's entirely possible. I don't think they did it with songwriting, but that band, they initially had split it up 6 ways, which was their manager and their lawyer also were a sixth of all money. For us,
you split it up 5 ways.
We split it 5 ways, and I get an extra 20% for lyrics.
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
And whatever drummer was with us at the time of the writing gets the songwriting. So, yeah, that's. And I'm trying to think if
actually
there's
Hippie Hills on the last record is split 6 ways. So,
why?
No, I think I maybe just did it 5 ways because we initially worked on that song with Howie, and then we came back to it, found a demo. And then
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, I talked to Howie about it. We reworked it, and so for the new record, the old record now, but the previous, so it was an old song that we reworked, and so Howie has a piece of that, but then Matt does too.
So Larry says,
but we also write those songs together. That's a little different.
Yeah.
It's I don't go and bring the songs in, and it's not out of the kindness of my heart that I give everybody a piece of it.
No, we write them all together.
Yeah.
Larry says the Grateful Dead always let fans freely record their live concerts. And Josh Vaughn says, I think it was Mike Mills that wrote Rockville.
I don't know.
And Conan says Sloan does the even split also. Wow, it's 4:59. Is there anything else that you'd like to talk about? What have you been watching recently? He's looking up who wrote. I gotta say, I was so freaked out about this book presentation because I was presenting it to like my colleagues, whoever was going to be in the library, the Milner Library here at ISU, and I was so freaked out. But the big boss came, our provost, and that was because she's amazing. And then who else came? Like a bunch of people came. Rick was there, and I kept calling him out. But I realized
it does say, wow, I always thought it was Bill Berry. It does say it was Mike
you're
Mills.
Spreading misinformation.
I heard it. I thought it was.
I heard it
Bill
both
Berry.
ways.
I heard it both ways.
But I was really. I'm sorry. I'm still getting over this. I'm still getting over it because it wasn't just presenting somebody else's research or anything like that. It was just like talking about like I felt very naked and bare for some reason. It was really scary. Would you do that?
I mean, I play in a band. I sing songs. I've played solo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But would you play solo in Milner Library?
No.
Yeah.
But that's
It's a different thing because it's loud.
yeah. That's that. Yeah. That,
Would you stand up in Milner Library and read your lyrics?
No, I wouldn't do that.
Why not? Because you're not stupid like I am.
No, I think having a book talk
Is
in
different
a
than-
library.
Yeah, I guess that makes
Perfectly reasonable
during book-
situation and
yeah.
scenario.
Yeah.
Not out there at all.
But I learned a lot from it too. Like I had so many different emotions after it and then before it too. And I was just like, oh, who was there? I hugged like one of my best friends and I don't even remember it and stuff like that. So it was like, oh my God. All right, what else? What else happened this week?
I'm watching Mrs. Now I forgot what her name is. Mrs. Davis. I liked it up until
is it the AI?
I kind of was half awake during the 5th episode. It was pretty good. The first 4 episodes I found good. I'm a little worried now, but it may just be similar to the 3rd season of
Mr. Robot?
No, 2nd season Mr. Robot. I didn't make it through. 3rd season of
the Hulu.
Twin Peaks.
Oh, okay.
So where it was like, I might have to push through. But the 3rd season of Twin Peaks was that was 16 episodes, wasn't it? Was it that many episodes?
You know how many?
It took a lot of work to be patient with that. I
That's
almost
a lot.
quit that show a number of times. Whereas Mrs. Davis, I haven't. I can make it to 3 more episodes or however many are left. I think there are only 3 left. So but I liked it. I like it. I know. I think that I've seen some bad reviews of it, but I find it humorous, except for the goriness. It's a little too gory.
Yeah,
Things are
this
too
is
gory now.
AI thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I walked in on that and I like walked out. Like it looked a little. It was very gory. And you were like just sitting watching it.
Well, it's the opening scene.
Yeah.
But that's what's interesting is that opening scene. Everything is not what it appears to be. So and that's the biggest worry, right? And I think that's the joke. I think maybe the joke of the 5th episode is that it is all about it's because it's been happening for a few years, right? Where it's all about dealing with the fact that people are going to be like Severance and even the first season of Westworld. It's just like it's an open, like everyone who's working on it knows that they're dealing with a bunch of people who are hyper focused and watching for details and also totally nerds about media. So everything you do is being watched and decoded, and if you do anything that's obvious, these people, assholes like me, are going to say, oh, this is what's going to happen next, right? Like kind of basically like what's happening with the 3rd season of Ted Lasso, which is just like, oh my God, really? Is this, I mean, you're basically, we've stopped doing this. You can't do a TV show that's this obvious anymore, right? It's just like,
There was
oh my
a
God.
lesbian episode. There was a drug episode.
But
and we
yeah,
haven't watched the next episode.
Yeah, and it's kind of like The Last of
I-
Us, too,
I
where it's
enjoyed
like,
it.
wow. I mean, this is we're not living in. I don't know. I feel like you got to be a little more challenging, and you got to have an extra layer on the onion. You can't have a little cocktail onion, right? It can't be a little cocktail onion. You got to have more layers on your onion. You got to have a whole. You got to have a whole onion tree. If you're going to do a show
Maybe
now.
the next what is it called? The next what's the soccer movie? What's the soccer show? Ted Lasso. The next Ted Lasso is going to be the evil twin.
It's already out. I mean, we
I know.
gotta
We
watch
can watch it
so
tonight.
We'll
but
see. I'll
try
let
not
you
to
know.
get so angry.
I have a right to be angry. I've watched a lot of TV.
Yeah. Hey, I've been watching The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel just because my next door neighbor's in it, and I love her. And I'm
Former
really she's
next door
I
neighbor.
love her.
Childhood next door neighbor.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and then Jane Lynch is in town.
Yeah. Jane Lynch is here in Illinois State University, doing a residency and directing directing something for 3 weeks. And actually, we can go see that if we want. So Conan says here, the 2nd season of Twin Peaks has some rough ones. I love the return though, and Conan also said, well, then that's Conan Neutron. Conan Neutron's protonic reversal says. Not to be confused with Conan Neutron. How can you be in two places at once, Conan? He says, Severance is the best show that is almost impossible to talk about to folks who haven't seen it.
Yeah. Oh, I love but it's also, I mean, yeah, that's the thing is when I rewatched it, I at the end I was like, this is great, and then I rewatched and it's like, and there's an episode. Just go back an episode and listen to me talk about it. But it was just like, wow, this is really much darker than.
Is that which is the
super dark?
Severance is that's not the one with the workplace.
Yeah, it's the workplace one. Yeah, not Succession.
Okay, yeah, I get the two mixed up, and I haven't watched either of them because they're the handheld camera thing.
Yeah. Oh, but Mrs. Davis. Oh, that's what I was going to say. Is that one of the things that they're doing now is like anything that's stupid in it though. Like somebody will explain away. Well, it's like, oh, it's the algorithm. It's all cliches. This fucking algorithm's all cliches. It's like it's an evil plot,
like
and the reason why it's an
movie.
obvious evil plot is because the algorithm. It's actually pretty. I'm gonna have to watch it over again once it's over.
When
but
you
the
start
commentary,
watching,
which is everybody's kind of griping about how. What we're talking about is it's talking about that future where it's like if everything it's referencing, the AI is referencing is the same the crap that we already have, right? And it's going to go down to this lowest common denominator. But it's a nice narrative trick, which is like anything stupid they put in the show, they can blame the AI on. Right, it's like, oh, this.
Didn't the Matrix 3 do that?
Yeah, but the show's a little
okay
funnier.
Here. Okay,
except
good.
sometimes
Well,
people's heads get hacked off, which I don't like. But
yeah, I don't know why. Like, usually that doesn't even bother me, but I like walked in on it and I didn't like it. So
well, that was actually not the first. The first scene was violent. That's the 1300s, like, or the Middle Ages scene. That's violent.
I want to watch it.
But then there's the beheading, which is a completely different thing.
Did you said that I would like it though? Is this the thing that you said I would like?
There's something in it that I think you would really, really like, but you need to watch. I think you need to get. That's the thing is it's got some payoffs that are like 4 episodes in, so you gotta trust that it's like oh wow, okay, that's what that is, and I can't say anything about it because it's definitely very spoilery. I don't quite have an idea of where it's going to go.
Well,
the only
that's
thing
exciting.
is if it turns into it being all a dream, like Dallas kind of thing, waking up and realizing the whole
Carol
last
Burnett
season
show, or not the Carol Burnett
dream.
show, the Bob Newhart
Bob
show.
Newhart. Yeah, that was funny, right? If it's something like that, I will get mad, but I don't think that's what it is.
Well, I remember being angry. What happened?
Or they're going to do that, and then it's not going to be that. It's just that kind of. It's one of those shows where I think they're actively trying to screw with all the speculative nerds. Like it's all about messing with you and making sure that you can't figure out what's going on, or it's just silly.
Well, good. What? Send 200 stars to see your comment here. What?
I don't understand what you're talking about.
It says that on my Facebook. Am I going to send 200 stars to see your comment here?
It's
what is?
Something's being held hostage. Is your account?
I guess send stars, get stars. What?
When people when you've got a live stream, right? Can people do those things still? Like
I don't know. Christian DeFrancesco says I was wondering about that. Don't send 200 stars. Can you guys see your comments? Yeah, my Conan Neutron's protonic reversal says more like 0 stars. Am I right? Yeah. Don't send stars. We don't need stars. Just money. Just kidding. All right. Well, we've been talking about porn here on Radio Zero. And thank you for listening.